One of the greatest gifts my mom has given to me is the appreciation of story. Back some 10 or more years ago now, I was pretty big into making storybooks. Kind of like scrapbooks, but they came to you printed. So these are just a couple of some of the books that I've made, especially when I was starting out. But eventually, I wanted to make books highlighting the stories of my parents' lives. I gave each of them a really long list of questions with instructions that they didn't have to necessarily answer them all. The purpose of the questions was to prime their memories and start the process of telling their stories. My dad did a pretty good job of answering just about all of the questions with a sentence or two. My mom, however, pretty much wrote a book. And here it is. The Life of Mary Jane Schreider, Volume 1. This storybook is one of the ways that my mother continues to lead, shape, and inspire me, even though she's not physically here with me anymore. I'm reminded about all the twins born in her mother's family and the rampant heart conditions that took far too many of her family members far too soon, including her own mother. As we are now living through a pandemic, reading about her life during war times holds even more meaning to me than it could have while she was still alive. Her humor stands out in her writing as well. She recalls giving some consideration to joining the diplomatic corps, to which she replies, "Can you imagine me in that position with my mouth?" In another written work, a collection of hand-printed recipes. Isn't this gorgeous in my mother's handwriting? I love it. I found a new favorite recipe called Surprise Casserole. Now, it's not my favorite because I love eating it all the time. It's my favorite because of what she wrote following the title of the dish. The surprise is that I wrote down how I made it, she said. I love this so much that we actually printed it to hang in our kitchen. Around the year 2008, my mom handed me an overstuffed, dull, and rough black folder. "Leah," she said, "I know how busy you are, but I really enjoy those printed scrapbooks that you make. Here, this is a collection of my writings, and if it would be possible, I've always wanted to see them in a book." This folder was filled with everything from resumes to poems and half-written stories, multiple drafts of stories, but here it is. This book I titled Determined is probably the single best gift I've ever made for someone, and now it is an absolute treasure to me. My mom's knack for telling a good story and capturing it in writing lives strongly in me. Here is the book that I made for my children, called Before I Was Your Mother. This is the story of my life as a daughter, sister, friend, and all the roles I played up to becoming their mom. I'm confident that it will continue to inform, shape, and move them even after I'm gone. And now all 3 of my boys love to write. Our oldest son is even majoring in communication. My mom would be so proud of his work. Here's the thing. No one else can tell your story from your perspective except you. So why not take the time right now to put it in writing or record your spoken words? this is your invitation to not only honor the gifts of your ancestors, but also to build your own legacy for the generations to come. Happy storytelling!
Today, as we remember and celebrate our ancestors, both those who are related to us and those who are not related to us, but who have affected and shaped our lives in so many meaningful ways, it is important for us to remember that our relationship to our ancestors is a sacred relationship. And one spiritual practice that we can use to ground ourselves in that sacred relationship is the spiritual practice of creating a physical altar. I sit here now in our beautiful, though empty, sanctuary. And you'll see in front of the windows at the side of the sanctuary, we have created an altar to honor our ancestors. The altar doesn't face into the sanctuary, but instead faces out, faces towards the Kopayafa to the side of our sanctuary. In the coming week, if you feel so moved, you are welcome to visit our fellowship campus and walk around outside the building to these windows to visit this altar, if you wish. Won't you join with me as we honor our ancestors together?
I've been thinking a lot about ancestors these days. and thinking about one in particular. This is a person that I didn't know well at all, only in passing, but they were a Unitarian Universalist, really committed, active. They'd even been one of the co-moderators of the Unitarian Universalist Assembly's General Assembly until this past summer. Their name was Alandria, and they were only a couple years older than me when they died earlier this month from health complications. After the shocking news of E's death spread throughout the small Unitarian Universalist world, people began to say things like, Alandria has gone to be an ancestor. I had never thought of someone young or someone only recently passed from life as an ancestor, but it comforted me to imagine Alandria and others that I have known surrounding me in the great cloud of ancestors who have gone to be wherever it is that we go when this life is through, even if that place is only in our memories. Alandria's too early passing and my near daily bike rides with my children in the beautiful old cemetery near my house inspired that story about Aaliyah and our UU ancestor, Francis. Francis was a real person, but the rest of the story was just from my imagination. Thank you for helping us choose which direction to go. As we get nearer to Halloween, All Souls and All Saints Day, Samhain, and El Dia de los Muertos, we don't need to imagine ghosts or spirits as spooky. We can imagine them as helpful guides in our lives, especially those who came before us and who survived hardship. They can inspire us to live in ways that are worthy of their memory through the hard times that we're living in now and those that are yet to come. We can feel or hear them, or we can imagine them smiling at us, cheering us on, and encouraging us. We can imagine that we are embraced not only by each other, but also by our ancestors, whoever they might be. May it be so. And amen.
Hi friends! We're going to write a poem together today. I think that the best poems start when someone pays close attention to the world outside of them and the world inside of them, even the small things that are easy to overlook. Writing poetry comes from a sense that the world is speaking to us in ways that matter, and the sense that our stories are deeply connected to the big mysteries and the questions that we all encounter. Our inspiration today is the poet Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. As a Black woman, she faced tremendous opposition, people that said her voice didn't matter. But she wrote anyway. She listened and paid attention and created poetry that spoke truthfully about the world that she lived in. And that gift has lasted over these many years so that we can read her words today. She laid some of the groundwork for amazing Black women poets who are writing now, like Tracy K. Smith, Robin Cost Lewis, and Jamila Woods. I highly recommend that you check out these writers. If you'd like some help getting started, send me an email, and I would love to send you some of my favorite poems. My email address will be in the chat box. Watkins Harper wrote a lot about fairness, so we are going to think about fairness today too. Your job is to think of one example of fairness in your life and send it to us in the chat box. If you get really inspired, feel free to send more. My son William is playing on a soccer team right now, and he and his teammates are learning to pass the ball. That way everyone gets a turn, and the team also works better when people pass. That's an example of fairness. My son Izzy, who is 4,
likes to leave walnuts outside for the squirrels who are getting ready for winter. That's a great example of sharing and being fair to the animals we're connected to. During this time, you might want to move around your space and look for something that reminds you of fairness. Send us your examples, and I will have the fun job of weaving all those examples into one community poem that you can look for on Facebook and in the weekly scroll. Thank you for being part of the poem. Have fun.
Hey everyone! Here's a little song about ancestors and roots. It goes like this. My tree has many roots, many roots, many roots. My tree has many roots, and those roots are a part of me. My tree has many roots, many roots, many roots. My tree has many roots, and those roots are a part of me. You know, singing and dancing were made for each other, so let's try some movements this time. We'll put our hands to our heart. My tree has many roots. Now dig those roots down deep. Many roots, and let them grow. Many roots. Back to your heart. My tree has many roots. Dig them down, and those roots, let's grow a tree, are a part of me. Let's practice that a little bit. Ready? Well, let's sing this time. My tree has many roots. Dig them down. Many roots. Let them grow. Many roots. Back together. My tree has many roots. Dig them down. And those roots are a part of me. You think you got it? sorry, just a second. I got a letter.
Dear Dr. Seek, your song uses the word roots. Please explain what you mean by this word, roots. Sincerely, Dr. Sirius.
Well, thank you so much for your kind letter, Dr. Sirius. That's a good question. When I say my tree has many roots, I mean there are people in my life that have helped me grow up to become the person that I am today. You see, roots are what help a tree grow. Roots feed the tree, and roots keep the tree connected to the earth so that it doesn't blow away in a storm. Are there people in your life who take care of you and help you feel safe and connected? Those people are your roots. Here are some of my roots. My siblings are my roots. My parents are my roots. My grandparents are my roots. And my roots are a part of me. And it's not just family members. Lots of people help you grow. Here are some other roots in my life. My friends are my roots. My teachers are my roots. The fellowship is my roots. And these roots are a part of me. Okay, now it's your turn. Let's start by thinking about people who are like family to you. Ready? All right. Now let's think about some other people in your life who help you feel safe and connected. My tree has many roots, many roots, many roots. My tree has many roots, and those roots are a part of me. You know what time it is? Time for a guitar solo. Bassoon solo! Piano solo! Dog solo! Do you think we should modulate up a half step? Uh-huh. Great, here we go! My tree has many roots, many roots, many roots. My tree has many roots, and those roots are a part of me. Should we modulate again?
No,
that's no.
Here we go! My tree has many roots, many roots, many roots. My tree has many roots, and those roots are a part of me.
In this community of embrace, we share our individual joys and concerns. This is a binding practice. It ties us to each other so that whatever we face in life, we hopefully do not have to bear it alone. We invite you now to type into the chat box any personal news you might wish to share. In this way, we will witness and hold space with you as we continue to worship. If you would like to connect with me, another minister, or a care team member, please let me know directly. You may also send in your joys and concerns by using the form on our website or by emailing anyone on staff.
We will include those in our weekly email, to which any member or friend may subscribe by contacting our office. We cannot embrace each other physically right now, but we can breathe together as we share a connected silence linked across our screens. There are many kinds of embrace. Let us breathe quietly together and then join our voices in sung response.
And we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give, we have our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer.
Each time we gather, we engage in the spiritual practice of giving and receiving. If you're in need of financial support, please don't hesitate to reach out to Reverend Leah, Allie, or me for modest help from our Minister's Discretionary Fund. We get the honor of giving these funds, which were generously donated from within this community to support anyone in need. For those of you who are relatively more financially stable, we thank you for giving so that we might all receive. There are many ways and reasons to support the fellowship. Here are just a couple.
Why I love the fellowship. I love the fellowship for all of the people, the diverse perspectives, getting to learn and grow with everyone that I meet. It's a constant lifelong learning adventure, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
As we come to the end of our service, we will extinguish our chalice flame, even as we still hold its light in our hearts. As we extinguish this flame, let us go our ways with hope in our hearts, with our spirits renewed, and with a deeper understanding of life's mystery. Let us carry the light of compassion and commitment to build a better world. After our closing words, like usual, we will be having small breakout groups for 15 minutes of connection and conversation. If you do not want to participate in small group conversations, then please use the postlude music time to log off and leave this Zoom meeting. If you choose to stay, and I hope you do, I encourage you to learn each other's names and to pay attention to the timer in the corner of your screen so that everyone gets a chance to share. I encourage you to share with each other the ways you might feel connected to, challenged, or inspired by your ancestors, however you interpret that word. And with that, go in resilience, growing in strength. Go in connection to yourself, your community, and your world. Go in peace, knowing that we embrace each other even now from a distance.